O'Neill joins world leaders to develop solutions on climate change. Statistics reveal 30,000 people living with HIV in PNG. West Papuans renew calls for independence 54 years on.
This is National EMTV News with Miriba Tulo.
Thank you for joining us for Tuesday's news. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill has told the World Climate Summit in Paris, France, that Pacific Island countries are running out of time for world leaders to develop solutions to climate change. Speaking at the 21st Conference of Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, Mr. O'Neill said communities in the Pacific are seeing people displaced and dying because of climate change. He said countries of the Pacific want to see a legally binding agreement that sets a temperature ceiling of below 1.5 degrees Celsius.
France is host of the 21st Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, also known as COP21. The conference is crucial because of the expected outcome. This anticipated outcome is a new international agreement on climate change to keep global warming below 2 degrees Celsius. Speaking as Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea and chair of the Pacific Islands Forum, Mr. O'Neill said Pacific nations want to see countries agree to keep a temperature ceiling of below 1.5 degrees Celsius.
The time for talk is passing the world by. We must act now to save lives and protect communities. We must set targets and plans of action to reduce emissions. It will not be good enough, Mr. President, if countries walk away from Paris without a firm agreement being reached, particularly when we know that there is a momentum, there is goodwill to reach a binding agreement. The countries of the Pacific are seeking a legally binding agreement that sets temperature ceilings of well below 1.5 degrees Celsius.
He said PNG is, sadly, the home of the world's first climate refugees, where people of the Carteret Islands have been forced from their homes because of rising sea levels. Mr. O'Neill told the gathering that Pacific Island nations are facing extinction, even though, like any other people in the world, these countries have a right to exist.
This world. Again in the Pacific, lives have been lost to extreme drought and frost, and also the most devastating tropical storms recorded in recent history strike each year. This ongoing disaster, Mr. President, must be stopped, and support must be given to the victims of climate change so that they can rebuild their lives. We in this room today have the power to do so.
He announced that PNG has joined in the fight against global warming. He said PNG supports a Paris Agreement that anchors the REDD+ mechanism, describing it as one of the most cost-effective mitigation options available.
Papua New Guinea is committing millions of hectares of our forest for REDD+ initiative, and again taking part in the reforestation of hundreds and thousands of additional hectares of land. Papua New Guinea is only one of the very few countries in the world that has got a legislative framework so that we can combat climate change challenge.
Mr. O'Neill reiterated that the effects of climate change were real and reminded developed nations of their moral obligation to act. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
Today marks World AIDS Day. This year's theme is Know Your Status, Get Tested and Live Longer. The NCD AIDS Committee commemorated the day at the Sejongai Stadium. All stakeholders, partners and business houses who attended the ceremony emphasized the need for people to get tested and know their status.
The event started with a march outside of Sejongai Stadium. It was led by the Correctional Service Band, followed by entertainment and speeches, and City Governor Powes Pakop officially opened the day for people to get tested.
I wish to call this day as HIV Testing Day.
Currently, over 30,000 people are estimated to be living with HIV and AIDS, and close to 20,000 people are receiving lifelong treatment in PNG. The death toll stands at 12,000 since 2004. Globally, more than 35 million people have died. For PNG, each year 2,000 new cases are reported. The National AIDS Strategy 2011 to 2017 targets UN AIDS 1990 by 2020 and ending the epidemic by 2030. That's 90% of people infected are known, tested and are treated.
So unfortunately, the government is not, it's given money for operations, which is to do with salaries, but it's not given our program budget for the last 2 years.
Maura Elaripe, a person living with AIDS for 18 years, says every day is seen as World AIDS Day for people like her. She said HIV and AIDS is losing its momentum because of financial constraints.
We can't go back into those communities to tell them or to save them from getting HIV or give those prevention messages. Why? Because funding that is given to us to do that work has been slashed.
The reality is the cost of not acting today will far exceed the cost of stopping this epidemic later.
Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News.
Rodney Mukinere, a person living with HIV and AIDS for 15 years, says people living with the virus continue to be discriminated. The general public is still not aware of the HIV and AIDS Management and Prevention Act that says no to stigma and discrimination. Those living with the virus in communities continue to be mistreated.
Rodney Mukinere is a person living with HIV and AIDS for 15 years. He says most people are not aware of the HIV and AIDS Management Act, which stops people from mistreating those living with HIV and AIDS. Because of the lack of knowledge and ignorance, people often mistreat those living with HIV and AIDS. Mukinere also works for the Business Coalition Against HIV and AIDS. He says a lot of the business houses are not taking the matter seriously when it comes to their employees' welfare. The Business Coalition Against HIV and AIDS had also approached business houses in the city to take part in the World AIDS Day today, but most of the business houses refused, as it is the normal working hours.
At least all business houses in the country have a HIV workplace policy, which by making all talk, yes, I'm ready to help the employees if they're sick.
Mr. Mukinere is calling on the national government to implement a law for business houses to follow. He says the law must look at protecting the employees' welfare, in particular people living with HIV and AIDS. At the moment, companies are reluctant to employ a person living with HIV and AIDS. Mukinere says this is because of the pre-employment test, the test that companies usually ask potential employees to fill. Mata Lewis, National EMTV News, Ley.
Training of health workers in handling HIV and AIDS patients will remain a priority for the Catholic Health Services. Secretary Justine McMahon says this is one way which can lower stigma and discrimination.
The Catholic Church has been heavily involved in supporting the fight against HIV and AIDS. One of the priorities is training of health workers. This is important in patient care.
Trained to be compassionate and caring in their approach to people. But having said that, there still is too much stigma in the community.
While funding remains a challenge, HIV and AIDS programs are still implemented. This is because the Church hopes through awareness, this helps to promote healthy living.
But what we've done over the last few years is to integrate our HIV services into many of our health services, so that then we hope will be more effective in many ways including the financial sustainability of the program.
Meanwhile, on contraceptive like condom use, the Catholic Church stands firm with its teaching.
The Church is 100% for families, and the Church will always stand for families and what's healthy for family life.
Marilyn Diaukatam, National EMTV News.
PNG will help advocate for HIV and AIDS using different platforms to disseminate public information. Awareness will be disseminated to promote healthy living in Papua New Guinea. Fabian Hakalits has more.
In commemorating World AIDS Day, rebranded airline PNG Air has taken a further step to advocate for HIV and AIDS through different platforms in their operations. While this will take time to develop, Chief Commercial Officer Paul Abbott told EMTV News the airline will partner with stakeholders involved in advocacy programs to help raise awareness through platforms like pamphlets and magazines targeted at travelling passengers.
The relative community bodies to assist. All we can really do is something that we have control over, which is our people and our organisation, and that's where our focus is very much on the moment.
While HIV and AIDS remains an issue in PNG, Abbott says it's important for every individual and organisation, both in the private and public sector, to take ownership of the epidemic and address it at the workplace. In the long run, it will help promote safe sexual practices and lower stigma and discrimination.
With awareness comes the ability to treatment, the ability to work and live with people within the community who have the disease, and help people to accept the fact that they can carry on and live normal, productive lives.
PNG will continue to implement its workplace HIV and AIDS management program.
Let's work together to address HIV and AIDS in PNG.
Fabian Haklitz, National EMTV News.
Today also marks National Day for West Papua. Their struggle for independence has been ongoing. We'll have that story and more after the break. Welcome back to the news. West Papuans living in Papua New Guinea today joined hands with the rest of the world in commemorating their National Day at the Jack Piddick Park in Port Moresby. This event earmarked West Papua's 54 years of struggle after its proclamation of independence in 1961. Eric Haurupma with this report.
West Papuan residents of Port Moresby, non-governmental organizations and civil society colleagues and partners joined hands with fellow West Papuans living abroad to commemorate their National Day today.
Long well now mipla celebrating. Long place too mipla celebrating. Long here mipla celebrating.
Embracing the slogan Free West Papua Meredeka, which means independence for West Papua, the people displayed their true identity with dramas and traditional song performances, which symbolizes West Papuan nationalism and their plight to push for independence.
For quite a long time, in the East, prior to us actually coming together with the West Papuan movement to freedom.
This event coincided with the rising of the Morning Star, which reminiscent of December 1st, 1961, when the Dutch recognized their right to self-governance. However, until 1969, when Indonesia took annexation over West Papua, they have been denied freedom for independence.
For over 50 years, West Papuans have been suffering from inhuman brutality and genocide killings by the Indonesian military, a foreign dominant force. As they recall today, enough is enough. It is time to end this foreign dominance in their own land.
It was commemorated with the theme West Papua Cultural Festival, My Culture and Language is My Identity.
When communities around the world in solidarity, always are raising flags and always are commemorating this day.
The West Papua national flag is celebrated every December 1st worldwide with the prospect of raising the Morning Star flag that symbolizes West Papua as a nation. Eric Arupman, National EMTV News.
The Autonomous Region of Bougainville will implement a plan it recently launched to improve law and justice services on Bougainville. The plan is in line with the Bougainville Peace Agreement and developed to guide the delivery of law and justice services in Bougainville from 2016 to 2019. Tekla Gunga with this report.
The midterm development plan will be executed over the next 4 years. It describes the growth and development in the law and justice services delivery in selected areas of a professional environment. Bougainville Minister for Police, Correctional Service and Justice, Willie Maisiu, said the plan puts back the responsibility of improving the law and justice services in the hands of the Bougainville government.
The plan is a way that we try and help our people. It is our commitment to the people and they will hold us accountable.
Kenneth Naneng said the plan will provide people in Bougainville with the best possible law and justice services.
The MTDP sets out the visions, the mission, it sets out the goals, the objectives that need to be achieved in the next 4 to 5 years.
The plan is a collaborative effort by the Bougainville and Australian governments under the PNG Australia Law and Justice Partnership Transition Program. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Even though many Papua New Guineans have not accepted the idea of doing away with the grade 8 and 10 national exams, some have accepted it. The Waigani Christian College founder and director Benjamin Moole has told EMTV that PNG has a bottleneck education system that is failing students. He said students must be matured enough to drop out from high school.
The Waigani Christian College is a private-run high school. In 2013, it was selected by the Education Department to trial out the standard-based pilot project. The project allows students to continue their education from grades 8 and 10 without dropping out. More than 400 grade 8 students in NCD who were not selected to continue in 2012 were sent to Waigani Christian College to repeat their grade 8 in 2013. Just 2 weeks ago, they graduated in grade 10.
All the students here in NCD schools, they have space here to come and do it at grade 11 and 12.
Starting next year, grade 8s and 10s in the country will not be sitting for the national exams. The academic transcript will come from the internal marks. Mould said that more space needs to be created to give equal learning participation to all children who are at the education age. NTD Governor Powes Pakop also supported the idea. He said this yesterday at the opening of 4 new quadruple classrooms at Waigani Christian College. The classrooms will cater for the 400-plus students who are under the standard-based pilot project to continue their grades 11 and 12.
The goal of producing high-quality human resources, manpower for our nation, should be a collective responsibility of all the provinces, including the national government.
As a token of appreciation for funding the building, the school gave Pakop 20 live pigs. The building also houses a science and computer laboratory and a library. It cost more than 3 million kina. Meanwhile, Pakop said that NCDC's priority is to allocate space for all children to complete their grade 12. Vasenata Yama, National EMTV News.
Oro rice farmers will be selling their produce to Trukai Industries for an estimated 900 kina per ton. Yesterday, the provincial government, the Oro Rice Growers Cooperative and Trukai penned an agreement paving the way forward. Rice has been growing in the area for over 15 years.
The agreement signed today in Leh allows local Oro farmers a market to sell their rice. Under the agreement, the company will give technical support and training to the farmers. The 45-year-old rice company is now agreeing to buy rice from Papua New Guinean farmers for a good price.
Down the track, the commercial agreement, so it's could be around the $300 a tonne, minus some costs. Okay, still quite lucrative for the farmers, but it will depend on how successful they are in managing the crop through the growing cycle as well.
In the agreement, Oro farmers are expected to produce 3 tons per hectare. The target yield per year is 3,000 tons, and the farmers have committed 1,000 hectares of their land.
The rice grown and harvested by Oro farmers will be sent here to Leh, where it will be processed and packaged into a Trukai brand, and it will be sold to a dedicated consumer market.
Trukai is partnering with rice cooperatives in Morobe, West New Britain, Central and other parts suitable for growing rice. The rice agreement signed has been with the cooperatives, the company and the provincial government. The rice company has already started to purchase rice from farmers in Central and Oro. The Oro provincial government will support the project, allocating 1 million kina.
It'll put money directly in the pockets of our people. What I'm trying to do, or my government would like to do, is to encourage the next level. Okay, there will be farmers that need to purchase equipment and things, so I'd like to encourage other people in the province, and we want to develop SMEs. You know, someone might want to open a hardware, someone might want to open a internet cafe, whatever. So we want to.
The signing comes after Trukai chairman Mark Robertson visited Sombere village in the Sohe district and inspected the rice field and recent harvest in August. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Ley.
The current El Nino weather patterns being experienced continues to make life difficult for people in many parts of the country. Western Province is no exception. Oktedi Mine has been forced to suspend production, which has further placed a strain on the province. But despite its forced shutdown, Oktedi Mining Limited has provided 5 million kina for the purchase of emergency food supplies for people in Western Province. OTML Managing Director and CEO Peter Graham announced the company's support at the recent PNG Mining and Petroleum Conference. 2015 has been a tough year for OTML, being forced to suspend production activities at its mine site as a result of the prolonged drought. This suspension also forced the company to place a large number of its employees on leave.
So it's been particularly tough on employees and casual employees and contractors, just surviving, without full payment during that period. We are paying people 30% of their normal pay as an allowance to hopefully retain those employees. They want to come back, but also to provide them just a basic level of sustenance to get by through this period.
The drought has also impacted people all across the Western Province. The lack of rain has caused river systems to dry up, which has affected gardens and traditional hunting grounds. In light of this situation, OTML Managing Director and CEO Peter Graham announced that the company would be assisting in drought relief efforts. His announcement was made during the recent PNG Mining and Petroleum Conference.
Most recently, we announced a 5 million kina contribution towards purchasing and supplying emergency foodstuffs for the people in the province. I mean, people are really doing it tough with gardens having died off and access to water. So supplying rice and water really is a priority.
The funding will be channeled through the Interagency Disaster Coordination Committee.
Teddy's very pleased to make that contribution, and it will be funneled through the Interagency Emergency Disaster Centre to coordinate the distribution of that food and water. So along with one of the landowner trusts, they too have contributed 5 million kina, which is really full marks to them for stepping up and making a contribution during a difficult time. So combined with our 5 million, that'll go a long way towards satisfying the immediate needs, at least for food.
And now a look at the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3375 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3300, $0.4530 Australian dollars, $0.3087 euro, and 40.32 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold and cocoa closed higher, while coffee and copper closed the day lower. Palm oil and copper closed lower, while crude oil closed the day higher. And on the stock markets, the Dow Jones closed at 79 points lower, the ASX closed at 97 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 96 points higher. Among stories after the break, the first woman to undergo cardiac bypass surgery in the country. Stay with us for the details. Welcome back to the news. 51-year-old Madrius Legas is the first female in Papua New Guinea to successfully undergo cardiac bypass surgery in the country. Madrius, after undergoing tests in November 2014, revealed a critically blocked main coronary artery. Madrius successfully underwent bypass surgery at the Pacific International Hospital last Wednesday and is recovering steadily. We warn that this report contains images that viewers may find distressful.
According to Australian Doctors International Forum, Papua New Guinea has a significantly high doctor-to-patient ratio. This mismatch has consequently resulted in increased non-communicable disease incidences in the country. Port Moresby General Hospital's cardiothoracic surgeon, Dr. Noah Tapawa, confirmed the statistic, saying a cardio bypass surgery differs from an open heart surgery, where the operation is being performed on the heart itself.
Is it more common in men? Yes, it's more common in men because women of childbearing age, they are protected by the estrogen. Estrogen is cardioprotective, but that advantage is being negated in most of the females now because of the lifestyle changes, because of the modernization. Everything comes with a cost. So same thing is for modernization also. A lot of females, they smoke, and smoking is a very high risk factor for coronary artery.
Pacific International Hospital's consultant cardiac surgeon Dr. O.P. Sharma is seeing a small but significant rise in heart diseases in women. He operated on the first female patient on November 25th, which he describes to be his most challenging operation. Dr. Sharma said apart from performing the actual surgery, anesthetist assistance was most important.
Cardiac patients, I'm the cardiac anesthesiologist, so I take them in the theater. I put them to sleep. The whole surgery I'm there, and then after the surgery when they come out in the ICU, I manage them in the ICU as well. So when they're recovering and when they're coming out of sleep, I think I'm the first one they see. And so that is how I'm there with them all the time till they are walking and about.
Madrias, only 6 hours after surgery, was put off the artificial respirator. A day after surgery, Madrias started eating and has even managed to climb 2 flights of stairs at the hospital 2 days after surgery.
And it was during the procedure that they found out that I had 3 blockages in my heart, which cannot be repaired by the surgeon that came in that time, who was supposed to be doing the angioplasty. It wasn't possible. And that was when Dr. Sharma, the head of the cardiologist, and the wife met me in the operating theater and spoke to me about the procedure that can be done.
Madrias was discharged yesterday afternoon from the Pacific International Hospital and will be reviewed by Dr. Sharma a week later. Lorraine Gabina, National EMTV News.
The national government's campaign to combat TB in Papua New Guinea is becoming a struggle, with increased cases of multi-drug resistance being reported in Western Province. Deputy Health Secretary Dr. Paisan Dakulala recently said that the department needed funds to implement its plans. In a media release, opposition leader Don Polier criticized the campaign, saying it's a health hazard.
The opposition leader's comment comes at this time when the National Health Department urgently needs the 40 million kina to implement the TB emergency response plan. Last week, Deputy Health Secretary Dr. Paisan Dakulala made an urgent call to the state for the immediate release of funds to contain the epidemic.
The key message is emergency and urgent. Let's take it on board seriously and get to do something about this.
In a press statement, Mr. Polier, while acknowledging the development partners, criticized the national government for incompetency, which he says indicates there's no seriousness. The current prominence of multi and extensively drug-resistant TB, he says, portrays an urgent need and funds must be released on time. Papua New Guinea is in fact sitting on a time bomb of public health disaster. Mr. Polier says the alternative government's position on TB was to create a national drug authority to effectively monitor all drug usage and set up TB checkpoints at all entry ports. Fabian Hakalitz, National EMTV News.
Western Province has entered into a funding agreement with World Vision PNG. Governor Ati Wabiro presented a cheque of 300,000 kina to PNG World Vision to help in the fight against tuberculosis in the province. This funding will go towards managing TB volunteer assistance.
Papua New Guinea has the highest number of tuberculosis cases in the Pacific and is among the highest in the world. Western Province, in its fight against TB, has received a financial boost. The funding from Western Provincial Government to World Vision in Daru will aid TB programs in Western Province, particularly volunteer assistance. World Vision has been working in partnership with the Western Provincial Government for the past 3 years.
One of our partners for a long time in the Western Province is the World Vision. And we have entered into an agreement or arrangement with World Vision where we will support some funding every year to support them carry out programs they're currently doing.
While the Western PEC has promised 17 million kina to fund TB programs, Governor Wabiro challenged the national government to pump in more support to fight TB in his home province.
No doubt you've heard about the challenges of TB in Daru and many parts of the South Fly and Western Province. And we are most grateful to our partners, including World Vision.
Receiving the check, World Vision Country Director Dr. Kurt von Boguslawski said he is looking forward to using the donation to its right purpose to fight TB in Western Province.
And we are hoping that in the coming months we will actually turn around the treatment adherence, which has been very poor, to the fact that every patient on Daru Island will take their full course of treatment and will be cured soon after.
Dr. Boguslawski added that he has already informed Western Provincial Health of the donation and plans are being made for the use of the funding. Lorraine Gabina, National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. Trukai Sports is next. Despite the overlapping of major sporting events, the PNG Games will go ahead as scheduled. I'll be back with the details.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Papua New Guinea Sports Foundation Chief Executive Officer Peter Chamalili says there are no plans to change the dates for next year's 7th PNG Games. In an interview with MTV Sports today, Chamalili said the foundation will be working towards delivering on the proposed dates. Jaylee Sapias reports.
Despite real concerns that the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup could take away attention from the 7th PNG Games, PNG Sports Foundation CEO Peter Chamalili thinks otherwise.
In terms of the audience and the attention that we'll get, I am of the strong opinion that it will actually enhance the whole atmosphere of extreme sports in PNG, as in you having a world event and a grassroots event coinciding simultaneously.
Chamalili has not made plans to adjust the Games dates and is confident of a successful 7th PNG Games next year in Kimbe, West New Britain.
It's specific in terms of it's soccer at the world stage, and this is grassroots covering the rest of Papua New Guinea. So I think it's going to balance off.
He says while the dates have been locked in, they will be confirmed prior to Christmas this year.
Those two dates are pretty much locked in at this point in time. But having said that, there are still certain things that we need to get over before Christmas, and then we could actually confirm that and affirm that those dates will not move. As it is, we are planning towards those dates.
Meanwhile, Chamalili says the PNG Sports Foundation will assist the PNG Games host organizing committee with their preparations for the 7th PNG Games in Kimbe. Jaylee Sapias, National EMTV Sports.
Mr. Chamalili also said that a budget of 10 million kina will be assigned for the rollout of the 7th PNG Games in Kimbe, West New Britain. He spoke of the Sports Foundation's role in assisting with preparations of the PNG Games. Lorraine Genia reports.
We've been allocated 10 million.
While the budget for the 7th PNG Games is yet to be confirmed, an estimate of 10 million kina is expected to cater for the preparations and upgrading of facilities in Kimbe. Executive Director of the PNG Sports Foundation, Peter Chamalili Jr., says 2 million kina will be assigned for administrative preparations and 8 million kina to the sporting infrastructures.
Now, we are trying the best as possible to be able to utilize and maximize with that funding that we've been provided. And working closely with the host organizing committee, we hope to see that contracts start to be given out before December.
Chamalili has said that due to the volume of the PNG Games and provinces attending, round-robin matches of each code may have to be played outside of the main township. But their biggest concern will be in meeting the logistic demands of the Games.
And we've got a timeline, a construction timeline and a procurement timeline that we've already developed with the host organizing committee that hopefully we can start executing before December. And the construction timeline will give at least 2 months for our facilities over in West New Britain to be completed, so it allows the host organizing committee to also run some test event. Now, these are some of our expectations. We can't control the rain or the weather, so we'll try to do our best to be able to implement what we've set out to achieve in 2016 for the infrastructure.
Although logistically challenged, the PNG Games is a go-ahead, with the host organising committee confident in delivering the Games on schedule. Lorraine Genia, National EMTV Sports.
To football now, and with 2 out of 2 wins, Hekari has scored 8 goals so far to lead the Telecom National Soccer League in the Southern Conference. The pre-tournament favourites have so far disposed of Gigira Laitepo and PKA Rapatona, with defender cum striker Koryak Upaiga leading the score tally for the club.
Opening round 1 was a stellar performance against debutants in Gigira Laitepo. And while Hekari have yet to lose an opening matchday fixture, the 4-2 scoreline reflected that much more work still needed to be done.
First game, we conceded a goal. We play work him, and we got trial. At least we play work defensively as a team, as a unit. But first game, we play 2 goal against me. Last week we play improve them, and now no got goal against. But there's a lot of room for me play work them, and a lot of things we play work defensively.
Following up on that match was last weekend's meet-up with PKA Rapatona at Bicini. Hekari held to a 1-0 scoreline by the halftime break after Leo Molly placed them in front after half an hour. And while Rapatona did manage to create chances of their own, Hekari were able to contain their opponents, as a brace by Koryak Upaiga and a fourth by Barry Mansale proved their supremacy. To Upaiga as a striker, Hekari do appear to have solved their problems up front, especially considering the current absences of Tutizama Tanito and Tommy Sami, who was instrumental in their campaign in the previous season, scoring 16 goals in the process.
I'm very excited to see Corey up front, and he's a player that if you give him a challenge, by him, now he's doing well up front, scoring goals. But this week got Lilik knock, so this is where we play by Luluklem. If he recover, hopefully Saturday we play again.
Hekari will be looking at a win this coming weekend, and they'll be facing Irma Gulf FC, who defeated Huawei PS United by 4-2. And they'll be up against some familiar faces in the likes of Atau Winnie and Leana Geno, both of whom have had stints with the club in the past years. But that aside, there is no doubt in Hekari's quality at the moment, despite the fact that it is still very early in the season. Jeremy Mogi, National EMTV Sports.
Trukai Sports continues. We'll have news on judo and boxing after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. Looking forward to his second Olympic Games, Raymond Ovino is the first Papua New Guinean athlete to represent PNG at the London Olympics in 2012. Now the judo veteran is looking forward to his second Olympic Games in Rio next year. Rafaela Kaure reports.
This time around, after 3 years, Ovino is preparing to take one last shot at the Olympics, and he's already working with his coaches, training at the High Performance Training Center. His main task is to gain focus, better skills and techniques in order to compete at a higher level. He will fight in the 66 kg weight division with his quest for Rio, where he will attend 4 competitions and 3 training camps to qualify. Recently, Ovino attended his first 2 events for the Oceania Judo Union Open Championships and training in Wollongong, New South Wales. Currently, he is in Jeju, Korea, for the Judo Grand Prix that took place over the weekend. Meanwhile, Ovino will keep training to keep up with the rest of the work for 2016 Olympic Games. Rafaela Kaure, National EMTV Sports.
There are plans for PNG's elite boxers to train in Cuba. Minister for Public Enterprise and KVN Open MP Ben Micah announced this at the closing of the National Boxing Championships in KVN. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill has agreed to support the boxers by sending them overseas to prepare for the Olympic Games.
Cuba is the leading amateur boxing nation in the world, with many of their fighters successful in the sport. PNG boxers will be leaving for Cuba next year in February to train.
That is the #1 boxing nation. So if it is the #1 boxing nation, our Papua New Guinea boys early next year are going to Cuba to train in Cuba. All right?
Ben Micah made it clear that the training in Cuba will further upgrade their skills to the level and standard of the Americans, and also urged the country to support the boxers and hopefully have a boxing world champion from PNG.
We want a world boxing champion from Papua New Guinea. All right? Why are we putting this thing? We want you to be better than Martin Benny, better than Tumat Sokolik, better than John Abba, better than all the PNG guys, and take Papua New Guinea to the world by becoming a world champion.
Their training will start next year in preparation for the Beijing Olympic Games, with the aim of our boxers making it onto the international stage. Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
And that ends Trukai Sports. The weather details when we come back.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
Taking a quick look at the weather for the next 24 hours. First of all, in the southern region, mostly fine in Port Moresby and Kerma. Fine weather expected in Daru, Alotau and Popondetta. To the Momasi region, brief showers expected in Lae, mostly fine in Wewak and Vanimo. To the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau, Kavieng, Kokopo, Rabaul, Kimbe and Buka, mostly fine. And finally, in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, fog, then fine, and cloudy weather expected in Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi, and Wabag. Now, before we go, recapping our top stories. O'Neill joins world leaders to develop solutions on climate change. Statistics reveal 30,000 people living with HIV in PNG, and West Papuans renew calls for independence 54 years on. And that's all we have for you for tonight. On behalf of the EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.